I really think local brands help you identify with who you are.
Okay, so whatever happened to Velvet Peanut Butter?
It was a very prominent brand, and I remember it being prominently displayed in the grocery stores. And at the time, most of the grocery stores were locally owned. Stores that used to carry Velvet Peanut Butter are no longer around. Great Scott, Farmer Jack, Chatham.
There were all the national brands, Peter Pan, Skippy. But here in Detroit, Velvet was our peanut butter.
I don't know that I realized it was a Detroit brand at the time. It was just the most popular brand in the grocery store.
But it was smooth. It was smooth. Fresh, pure, and delicious. It was smooth.
Paul Zuckerman was the man behind Velvet. He came to America from Turkey as a little boy and wound up right here in Detroit.
It started in 1937, and the way it happened, according to Paul Zuckerman, my father, he was driving a truck. When he decided he wanted to marry my mother, her parents didn't think driving a truck was so impressive, and he was always very entrepreneurial.
So Mr. Zuckerman and another truck driver went into the peanut butter business.
They bought a couple of machines and set up shop in a garage on 12th Street, my father and Harry Goss, and the two of them alone together did everything.
Harry Goss ran production, and Paul Zuckerman became the salesman.
He would tell me that he'd fill up his car with cases of peanut butter and go out and hit the road. And his favorite sales pitch was, I'm down to one last case of peanut butter. I don't want to go home with it. Just take the last one and make my day.
When World War II started, Uncle Sam pressed Velvet into service to help feed our troops.
Because the government felt it was such an essential product, that probably put the stamp of approval on peanut butter. Mothers probably felt, well, if it's good enough for the soldiers and they think it's healthy.
The Velvet's jar came with those fresh, pure, and delicious faces inspired by Paul Zuckerman's little boy, Norbert.
It does look like him. He wasn't so pure, but he was a cute kid, adorable kid.
You know, there was a time eating peanut butter was actually a chore. The oil and the ground peanuts would separate, and then they had to be mixed again by hand. Paul Zuckerman had the solution.
It was called Velvet homogenized peanut butter. And he always claimed that they started it, so I only can believe that. But, you know, I wouldn't go to court on it.
He was so successful with it, he was known everywhere as the Peanut Butter King. And if he wasn't known when you first met him as the Peanut Butter King, he made sure that you knew that he was the Peanut Butter King by the time you finished the conversation.
In 1950, the Peanut Butter King decided to diversify, buying the Crunchy Potato Chip Company.
Soupy Sales advertised for them. He used to call everybody a bird bath. I don't know why. You're a good bird bath, or you're a bad bird bath. He was just a wild guy.
By the late 1950s, Velvet merged with Sunshine Biscuit, joining national brands like Hydrox Cookies and Hi-Ho Crackers. Test kitchen cooks dreamed up dishes with ingredients like gelatin, Miracle Whip, and peanut butter.
No, but that was a big thing in those days. Jell-O and Miracle Whip and Jell-O and sour cream and Jell-O and whipping cream. I loved it, but that does not sound like a very good recipe to me. You can't win them all, right?
The Sunshine deal did make Paul Zuckerman a multimillionaire, but he stayed on in charge of the Velvet operation.
When the brand was at its strongest, we had sales in Indiana and several cities, some in Illinois, but basically it was a Detroit brand, and an unbelievably well-known Detroit brand.
Just a few years later, Sunshine's enthusiasm for peanut butter apparently dimmed, and Paul Zuckerman bought his company back for, well, peanuts. By then, he'd be known as a philanthropist, as well as the Peanut Butter King.
His answer was, well, I guess I'm just a lucky truck driver. Just a lucky truck driver, so people sometimes would tease and make a little bit of fun about it.
Once again, Velvet Peanut Butter was sold to another national company that, well, shut it down in the 1980s.
Things disappear, and you don't really notice them for a long time. And then when you can't find it anymore, you start to wonder.
Well, now it's back in local supermarkets. Eric Bruce, a Detroit area native, is making Velvet Peanut Butter once again.
We went back to a velvet recipe from the 40s. Velvet peanut butter, just like all other brands, the recipe had changed throughout the years, and we went back to an old-fashioned recipe.
It became a terrific brand. But the real story is that it was Paul Zuckerman. You know, he made it what it is. I guess the proof is it's on the shelf again. Got velvet peanut butter back on the shelf, which is quite a nice thing.